we present Edward Fox in Scott's Last Journey, the Diary of Captain Scott.
Years ago, Robert Falcon Scott was a rising naval officer. Able, accomplished, popular, highly thought of by his superiors, and devoted to his noble profession. It was a serious responsibility to induce him to take up the work of an explorer. Yet no man living could be found who was so well fitted to command a great Antarctic expedition. The undertaking was new and unprecedented. The object of Captain Scott's second expedition was mainly scientific, to complete and extend his former work in all branches of science. It was also part of Captain Scott's plan to reach the South Pole by a long and most arduous journey. There are few events in history to be compared for grandeur and pathos with the last closing scene in that silent wilderness of snow. Clements R. Markham, September 1913.
Through stormy seas. The voyage out. Saturday, November the 26th, 1910. We advertised our start at 3 p.m., and at 3 minutes to that hour, the Terra Nova pushed off from the jetty. A great mass of people assembled. If anything, more craft following us than at Littleton. Mrs. Wilson, Mrs. Evans, and Kay left at Heads and back in Harbour Tug. Pennell swung the ship for compass adjustment, then away. Wednesday, November the 30th, noon, 110 miles. Light breeze from northward all day, freshening towards nightfall and turning to northwest. Bright sunshine, ship pitching with southwesterly swell, all in good spirits except 1 or 2 sick. Thursday, December the 1st, 1910. During the night the wind increased. We worked up at 8 to 9 and 9.5 knots. Stiff wind from northwest and confused sea. Awoke to much motion. The ship a queer and not altogether cheerful sight under the circumstances. Below, one knows all space is packed as tight as human skill can devise, and on deck. Under the forecastle, 15 ponies, close, side by side, 7 one side, 8 the other, heads together, and the groom between swaying continually to the plunging irregular motion. Some 4 or 5 tons of fodder, and the ever-watchful Anton take up the remainder of the forecastle space. Anton is suffering badly from seasickness, but last night he smoked a cigar. He smoked a little, then had an interval of evacuation, and back to his cigar while he rubbed his stomach and remarked to Oates, "No good." Gallant little Anton. We managed somehow to find a seat for everyone at our cabin table, although the wardroom contains 24 officers. There are generally 1 or 2 on watch, which eases matters, but it is a squash. Ponting cannot face meals, but sticks to his work. On the way to Port Chalmers, I'm told, he posed several groups before the cinematograph. They were obliged repeatedly to retire to the ship's side. Yesterday he was developing plates with a developing dish in one hand and an ordinary basin in the other. Friday, December the 2nd. A day of great disaster. From 4 o'clock last night the wind freshened with great rapidity, and very shortly we were under topsails, jib and staysail only. It blew very hard and the sea got up at once. Soon we were plunging heavily and taking much water over the lee rail. Oates and Atkinson, with intermittent assistance from the others, were busy keeping the ponies on their legs. Cases of petrol, forage, and so forth began to break loose on the upper deck. principal trouble was caused by the loose coal bags, which were bodily lifted by the seas and swung against the lashed cases. There was nothing for it but to grapple with the evil, and nearly all hands were labouring for hours in the waist of the ship, heaving coal sacks overboard and relashing the petrol cases in the best manner possible in such difficult and dangerous circumstances. The seas were continually breaking over these people, and now and again they would be completely submerged. At such times they had to cling for dear life to some fixture to prevent themselves being washed overboard. No sooner was some semblance of order restored than some exceptionally heavy wave would tear away the lashing, and all the work had to be done again.